Hi class, we're going to start off our section on cell division with a short lecture on chromosomes. Now we've looked at cell structure, and if we think about animal cell, plant cell, we saw a structure called the nucleus, which is where we find our DNA that we've referred to as the control center of the cell. And normally this DNA is just kind of all spread out. It just kind of looks like this. Like you don't really see any particular structure or shape to it, right? So what happens when we go to do cell division to make sure that we can divide the DNA correctly, that DNA does something called condensing. So it gets packaged up. It's almost like, just think about it being sort of coiled up and packaged up, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier to separate. So what we're going to look at in this lecture on chromosomes is a little bit of an idea of, how do we see them in textbooks? How are we going to represent chromosomes? And then a little bit about numbers of chromosomes that we have in cells. All right, so our chromosome, just generically, if we're looking at it in a picture I would make or in a textbook, it looks something like this. It's got kind of a central part that's round, and then what looks like two pieces that kind of stick up to the top, then down to the bottom. Right, so the actual DNA in this is the two pieces that stick up. And it's actually just one piece. It's a piece called a chromatid. Right, so that's the actual DNA part of our chromosome. Hey, this round piece in the center here, it's called the centromere. The centromere, the word centromere means middle segment. So it's the middle segment, it's the centromere of our chromosome. And it's not DNA, it's actually protein. Okay, and then I want to show you real quick how a second ago I mentioned to you that the chromatid is actually one piece, even though it kind of looks like there's two pieces or two chromatids on this. The reason it's one thing is because it's dumbbell shaped. So a chromatid actually looks like this. So it gets kind of skinny in the middle. And that centromere, when we draw it like I did the first one, the centromere kind of hides the fact that the chromatid is skinny and connected in the middle. All right, so that's why this is just one chromatid on our chromosome here that we're drawing. Right, and then I want to show you real quick, because in cell division we're going to look at a step where we copy DNA. So very simply, from what I showed you with the above picture, we had two parts, a centromere and a chromatid. One's DNA is and one is not. So looking back to that, if I tell you we're going to copy the DNA, then what we really need to copy is the chromatid. So a chromosome, after we copy DNA, is going to look like this. It's actually going to have two chromatids on it, like that. Still just one centromere, but two chromatids. Those are still considered one chromosome, right? This is our picture we started with. That is one chromosome. And this, after we copy it, is still technically one chromosome. Okay, now it's got two chromatids, but it's just still one chromosome. Okay, and then I want to tell you, because we're going to see this as we go through cell division, these two chromatids now that we made, we have present after we've copied our DNA. There's a specific name for those. They're called sister chromatids. So you're going to see in some stuff where we're going to mention sister chromatids and what's happening to them. So it's kind of important to understand that those are things we're getting when we're copying the DNA. And when we do the first lecture on what's called the cell cycle, which is coming up next, you're going to see in that cycle we copy DNA. So we're going to go from having a single chromatid to having sister chromatids. All right, and then I want to tell you a couple things about chromosome numbers. Hey, what we're really going to look at is how many sets. So let's title this sets of chromosomes. Right, so I'm going to tell you two things here that we can see. It's the two most common things we see. So the first is if we just have one set. Okay, if we have one set, we call it haploid. And we represent haploid with either an N by itself or one N. Okay, so, technically, in math, if we just have N, the one is implied, right? We just assume it's there. So N or one N mean the same thing. And that's our way of representing haploid. So like if we had this cell over here and we're talking about it and we say, hey, here's some cell we're looking at, and inside this we see one N, that's telling us the cell we're looking at is haploid, which means it's got one set of chromosomes. Hey, the other common thing is two sets. And two sets is called diploid. And diploid is represented as 2N. Right, so one set haploid, two sets diploid, 1N or 2N. And I know this is really stupid, but recognize that 2N is twice 1N and 1N is half of 2N. Right, so when we're looking at actual chromosome numbers, I'm going to show you an example in a second. I mean, that's kind of our options, right? If we have an actual number, say it's 20, then from that 20, all we can do is either double it or cut it in half, right? Those are the only possibilities we can have. All right, so let me show you examples of this haploid diploid thing. And we're going to use human sperm cell, egg cell, and fertilization to look at this. All right, so we're going to have a sperm cell, and we're going to have an egg cell. And when those things are going through fertilization, so when the sperm cell fertilizes the egg, we end up getting a single cell here that's called a zygote. Right, so those are our cells we're working with. And I mean, this could technically be any animal and most plants that we would be looking at, but the numbers I'm going to give you are examples using humans. Okay, so we're using humans as an example here. All right, so in humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. The first 22 are numbered, and then we have a sex chromosome, XY. Right? So in this sperm cell, what we would see is this. Here's a number 1 chromosome, here's a number 2, and the first 22 are numbered like that. And then we would have a chromosome that's going to be X or Y as our sex chromosome. Right? And then we would see almost the same in the egg cell. We're still going to see one number 2, etc., up to one number 22. But then in the female, in the egg, the sex chromosome its only option is X, right? So women are XX and men are XY in their sex chromosomes, right? So when we look at the sperm cell and the egg cell, do those cells have one set of chromosomes or two? And the way we can tell is just how many of each. Right? We started this by seeing like the sperm cell has one number 1 and one number 2 and one number 3 and one number 4. Same for the egg cell. So these cells have one set of chromosomes each. Those are haploid cells. Both of those cells are 1N. Right? And then to form the zygote, one of the things that happens with fertilization is we take all of these chromosomes and kind of put them together into one cell. So the zygote has all of those things. So the zygote's going to have two number ones, two number twos, etc., all the way up to two number 22s, and then two sex chromosomes, right? One's got to be X, the other one's going to be X or Y, right? So that's what we see with the zygote, because we've taken all of the DNA from the sperm and combined it with all the DNA from the egg cell. Okay, and that cell then, this zygote, has two sets, right? It's got two of everything. Two ones, two twos, two threes, two 22s, two sex chromosomes. That's a diploid cell. All right, so that's kind of real life example using humans as the number of chromosomes and haploid, diploid stuff. And we actually should mention here before I finish this, just how many total chromosomes we have in these cells. So in our sperm cell, we have one each, 1 through 22, and then an X or a Y. So this sperm cell has 23 chromosomes. Same for the egg cell, one each, 1 through 22, and then an X. So this egg has 23 chromosomes. And then we've combined all of that together over here in our zygote. So the zygote's going to have all 46 of those things, right? So, sometimes when we're looking at humans and chromosomes, you may just hear the number 46, right? Somebody may say, hey, human cells have 46 chromosomes. Sometimes you may hear this referred to as 23 pairs of chromosomes, and that's the same thing. Right, 23 pairs is 46, and those pairs come from the sperm and the egg, right? Pair is, if we look at our zygote again, the pair is this, right? There's a pair of number ones, there's a pair of number 22s, right? One number 22 came from the sperm, one number 22 came from the egg. Right, and all that together gives us 23 pairs, or these 46 chromosomes in total. Hey, now if we went backwards, right, like if we have this zygote and the zygote has 46, well, we got to make sperm cells and egg cells from a cell that has 46. So somehow, some way, we're going to have to cut that 46 in half and make it 23 again. Right, so it's sort of the life cycle, right? That's just part of the human life cycle, is we've got 46 chromosomes in most of our cells, unless we're making sperm and egg cells, and then those things have 23. So we got to figure out a way to get from 46 to that 23. Okay, and then one last example here. If we're looking at something like, say, dogs, the sperm cell and the egg cells of dogs have 39 chromosomes. So the number of chromosomes can be different, right? That's just going to be different organism to organism. But the sperm and the egg are still 1N, right? So that 39 number represents 1N. Okay, so in the dog then, what would the zygote be? Right, so what's the 2N number going to be for dogs? And remember, I've told you, like, if we have these numbers, the only two options we have are it's double what we already have, or it's half of what we already have. So the 2N number is going to be 78. Okay, if we already know the 2N number, doesn't matter what organism it is. If we know 2N is 50, then we should automatically know 1N is 25, right? If 1N is 200, 2N is 400, right? That's all we're doing. We double it or we half it. Those are our options.